Hey, I am thinking of making this video a series. Basically, in this video, I will handpick some persona in Persona 5 Royal, then I will analyze them and try to build them into a stronger persona. This will be what I think is the best way to build that persona. Of course, this is my way to build these personas. I highly encourage everyone to be creative and build these personas based on your playstyle and what you really need in the game. So, without further ado, this is how to build a persona featuring Arsene. Arsene is the starter persona of Persona 5 Royal. Arsene is the token curse persona for the early game, with resistance to curse, but in turn has weakness to ice and blast. Arsene by default has low and balanced stats due to him being very low leveled, although you'll notice that he will gain high agility stats when he levels up. This unfortunately does not determine how we should be building Arsene. So with that, we'll look at his potential skills. His skills are Eha, Cleave, Secunda, Dream Needle, and Adverse Resolve. Fairly good for early game, especially with the sleep status effect from Dream Needle, extra utility from Secunda, and the 3 affinity coverage for physical, gun, and curse damage. However, Arsene will quickly fall off due to the skills not being upgraded beyond light damage. Thankfully, with the help of the skill cards mechanic, upgrading Arsene to beyond a starter persona is very much possible. But keep in mind though, since the itemized feature to the Velvet Room is not available until you've secured the treasure route for the second palace. So, the skill cards feature may not be available until then. The first skill that should be added is the upgrade to Cleave. Of all the damaging skills that he had, Cleave is by far the worst damaging skill in the game, because it has the lowest damage of all physical skills. It only covers physical affinity, which is not generally used for downing enemies, and it does not have a status element effect besides it. My suggestion is to get either Shisa, Ipondatara, or Inugami and then itemize them to get a skill card. Shisa will grant you Double Fangs, which will deal 2 hits of medium physical damage. Ipondatara will grant you Sledgehammer, which deals medium damage, while also has a chance to inflict Dizzy. Inugami will grant you Giant Slice, which deals medium damage and will be powered up after a button pass. Or if you don't feel shameful for using DLC personas, take Asterius Picaro immediately, since it will give you Gigantomachia. It is one of the highest damaging physical damage skills in the game. Now that you have a good physical skills, you might be able to tackle the game using Arsene up to around the 4th or 5th palace. The 5th palace is where you will start to struggle, especially when the enemies are starting to resist physical damage. So the next skill to add is either an upgrade to Eha, an upgrade to Dream Needle, or a way to nullify his weakness to Ice and Blast to keep you alive in battles. Let's talk about this one by one. So first, the upgrades for Eha should be available for that level, but unfortunately, getting your hands on these skill cards is harder than you might expect. Getting Maega or Aegaon requires you to itemize Arangda, which is a level 48 persona that you might not encounter until much later into the game. The most realistic way to upgrade Eha into a better skill is by itemizing Nue on a fusion alarm to get Eiga, a medium curse damage skill, which is certainly better than Eha and is not impossible to get. Another way you can get a strong upgrade to Eha is, again, use a DLC persona, Thanatos Picaro, and itemize it to get Maegon, a heavy curse damage skill to all foes. Same with the previous case, only use that if you are not shameful on using DLC personas. I don't judge, so it's okay. Next is the upgrade to Dream Needle. Now, the Dream Needle in the early game is not really used for the gun damage. You'd be better off using your gun to do that. Dream Needle was used to inflict sleep on the enemy, but since it has a low chance of inflicting it, you'd be better to upgrade that into a sleep element skill, either Dormina or Lullaby works. Both of these skills are available from Sandman. Dormina is from itemizing Sandman outside of a fusion alert, while Lullaby is on during fusion alert. Alternatively, Sandman also has a physical skill that inflicts sleep called Dormin Rush. It is a good upgrade for your choice of physical skills, but it sacrifices the chance of landing the sleep element. You can insert Dormin Rush to Arsene after the 4th Palace treasure route has been secured, where the Gallows is unlocked. The Gallows allow you to sacrifice one persona to strengthen another persona, which gives XP, stats, and a random skill from the sacrificed persona. You can sacrifice Sandman to Arsene and inherit Dormin Rush to Arsene. If the Gallows system doesn't inherit the skill that you wanted to inherit, save scamming is a totally acceptable way to retry it until you get it. Now, nullifying weaknesses proves to be one of the hardest things to get on early levels. It is not until around level 50 that you might encounter a passive skill that nullifies weaknesses. Parvati and Raphael are the personas that you'll need to get Null Ice and Null Bless, but those personas are level 56 and level 78 respectively. So there's no realistic way to get these skills early. Well, that is the case until you've tried the lockdown system, because apparently the lockdown system can provide you skills that help you live against attacks of the persona's weakness. So, through lockdown, Arsene can get Evade Ice and Blast, and furthermore, Resist Ice and Blast, and later Null Ice and Blast. You'll have plenty of time to use this system to get those skills for Arsene. The lockdown system is locked until you've initiated the Warden's Confidant, which happened fairly early in the game. You might have noticed by now that I haven't talked about Secunda for a while. Secunda is generally a great debuff support skill that does not fall off like other offensive skills. Well, until you've gained a much better buff/debuff skill that does more than just Secunda. Secunda, from early to mid game, is very valuable because it makes your party dodge more frequently to attacks from enemy that got debuffed by it, and the attacks that go to that same enemy land more accurately. You can replace this with other more directly useful buffs/debuffs too, like for example Tarukaja, an attack buff, or Rakunda, a defense debuff. You can get Tarukaja or Matarukaja from itemizing Eligor, either without Fusion Alarm or during Fusion Alarm respectively. You can get Rakunda or Marakunda from itemizing Orobas, without and with Fusion Alarm, the same as before. Or if you want to keep it at Secunda, but with an upgrade to Masukunda, you can get it by itemizing Mandrake on a Fusion Alarm. You can have as many support skills that you'd like, as long as you have the slots for it. You can also put in Charge or Concentrate into Arsen with skill cards or Gallows. Charge and Concentrate are probably the best support skills to have. I remember getting a Charge skill card from a Mementos request, but realistically it is easier to get these skills using the Gallows system. Charge can be obtained from a level 27 Setanta, while Concentrate can be obtained from a level 40 Thought. From all of those support skills, I personally like to follow the theming of Arsene and upgrade Secunda to Debilitate instead. Debilitate is a debuff that decreases both attack, defense, and hit/evasion, so all 3 debuffs into one. You can only get this skill card from Magatsu Izanagi Picaro though, which is a DLC persona. I think I've covered every bit of skills that I can talk about, so with that, here is the result of how I can build Arsene. Keep in mind that this is not the strongest build of Arsene out there. I like to make Arsene as strong as possible while keeping it on theme. This Arsene has Maegaon, Riot Gun, Lullaby, Debilitate, Angelic Grace, Null Ice, Null Blast, and Enduring Soul. Maegaon is the highest upgrade to Eha. I've replaced the physical skill to Riot Gun, which is a gun skill because of the theming of Joker and Arsene having to use a gun. Plus, it is the highest upgrade to Dream Needle as well. Lullaby is there as an upgrade to Dream Needle as well, but it is also there as a tool for technical damage. Debilitate is, as I've said, the upgrade to Secunda. Now the remaining passive skills that are allocated were there for survivability. Angelic Grace is a luxury passive skill that was only available to endgame level persona, but the effects are so good that I can't miss it. Enduring Soul is also a nice skill to have, especially when you feel like the enemy's attacks hurt too much. You can get Enduring Soul from itemizing the level 13 Orpheus Picaro during a fusion alarm. You'll get Endure when it is not on a fusion alarm, which is a passable skill as well. Before I wrap up this video, there are some honorable skills to mention that didn't make the cut. The first one, Curse Amp. Curse Amp is a great passive skill to amplify my Aegon's damage. However, it is not here because of the skill slots problem. If you value damage more than survivability, consider getting Curse Amp into Arsene. As mentioned before, Charge or Concentrate are great support skills to have. However, for this particular playthrough of mine, I already have the persona to cover Charge and Concentrate, so it is not necessary to have more than one source of Charge/Concentrate. Null Ice and Blast are there as a product of the lockdown system. These passive skills can also be upgraded to either Repel or Drain Ice and Blast, but it requires a lot more effort into the build, so I think it is not worth getting as long as you already had something that nullifies the weakness. Oh yeah, you can't get Repel or Drain passive skills from lockdown. I've tried it, which explains the bloated stats of my Arsene. Either that or that I'm just unlucky. And with that, this is how you build Arsene. I hope this video is helpful to you guys, and I also hope that this encourages you to build some personas and push them to their limits. Thanks for watching, see ya!